And I certainly want to begin by saying thank you for being here. I think it's our honor to have each one of you here at a council meeting. We appreciate your attendance, and we'll move forward. If you will, please rise for the invocation. Remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Father, we come to you tonight to say thank you for the many blessings in our life. We want to ask that you be with the communities in our nation as well as the world, and bring peace to the conflicts that exist today. We ask that you be with our men and women that are serving our country, guide their safe return. We ask that you be with each person here tonight and their families, and be with us as we carry on the business of the city. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I love hearing the kids.
That's good.
In your packet, everybody's been presented a copy of tonight's proposed agenda. If there are no additions or corrections, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Also in your packet, you've got a copy of the minutes of the regular meeting of July the 24th. If there are no additions or corrections to those, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Tonight, we welcome several members of the community as well as several members of the Blue Barracuda swim team. We are very pleased you're here. It's our honor to honor you. I believe I'm correct in saying that we had 60 swimmers qualify for the state swim meet, which is very good. They brought back numerous awards, which is also very good, as well as the first place state trophy in the Class B division, I believe. So with that, I would ask, I guess, Mr. Mike Beeler, who has been their coach, if he would like to say a few words with that.
Just that I'm very proud of it. You see quite a few here. And some of these faces you've seen for several years now. Swimming is growing by leaps and bounds. We just left the pool deck with 21 800s in the water over there.
Yeah.
So it's growing leaps and bounds. Very proud of these guys. They work hard all summer. Also won our regular league, went undefeated in the regular league, won district, and also the guys won state. The girls finished fourth, but overall we won.
Yeah.
Didn't get to swim our finals, was the one disappointment this year. We got rained out of swimming finals, so we had quite a few that didn't place where they thought they would. We swam a lot faster than we got the finals, so very proud of them this year.
And we're proud of the effort and everything, and it's quite an accomplishment, I think. So very pleased for you and the team for doing that. And I don't know how we make a picture, but it'd be nice to have one. If the swimmers would come up front, and we will get Mr. Worley to snap a picture. And the council, if you'll join me.
Little munchkins in the front.
You and I might be in it.
Yeah, we were on the front row. That about cleaned the house, didn't it?
Trying to get somebody's attention.
Yeah.
80. Look at Julie.
And Kim, I believe the pool itself as well as the pool deck were resurfaced for the events, for the swimming opportunities this year, so I know that was enjoyed by all as well. We will have an election. The municipal election will be held. Qualifying will be at City Hall. This is 226 South Wall Street. It begins at 8:30 on Monday, August the 21st, and ends at 4:30 on Friday, August the 25th. This is the general election will be held on Tuesday, November the 7th. And the positions that are up are Calhoun City Council Post 3, currently held by Matt Barton. Qualifying fee is $252. Calhoun City Council Post 4, currently held by David Hammond. Qualifying fee $250. We have school board positions up. The post number 1, currently held by Alvin Long. Post number 2, currently held by Rhoda Washington. And post number 3, currently held by David Scoggins. Qualifying for each of those is $1. Also, we'll have, with that, October the 10th is the last day to be able to register to vote. And the October 16th is the first day to mail out absentee ballots, and early voting starts on that day. November the 3rd is the last day to mail out the absentee ballots as well, to issue the absentee ballots. I'd like to remind everybody it's a very important election to the city and the county, as we will have spliced opportunities on there as well. Each has projects within the city. We have several things such as the Peter Street. Would like to see that project continue. There are numerous recreation projects. In those projects at the recreation will include the tennis courts, resurfacing, upgrades to the playground. Those are two highly used things. And with recreation, there'll be upgrades to the building. And there's opportunities to look at those, and certainly be glad to share all of those with you. Also, there will be a non-binding vote, which would increase the number of council members from 4 to 6. There would also be on there a non-binding vote that would set term limits. Those term limits would be 2 terms for the mayor and 3 terms for the city council members. Mr. Ed.
If you'll indulge me for just a second. I was really in favor of the term limit part of it. I personally believe in it. I made the observation many times as we were debating it that if we got it on the ballot, that I would be the first person to voluntarily step down from elected office. So let me announce to the public via YouTube and the people in our audience that I will not be seeking re-election. It's been my honor and my privilege to serve with each person sitting at this table for 3 of my own terms and 2 years of past council member Dickie Shelton. I just can't tell you how honored I am to have had this privilege. It meant a lot to me. I'd also like to give regards to George Crowley and Ray Denman and Lorraine Potts, 3 other individuals that I've served with in that time. I appreciate anybody who steps up to do this job. It needs to be done. It needs to be done with intelligence and conscious thought. I know that as this seat is being given up by me, I know there's at least 2 people in our audience that have expressed an interest in running for the office, and I think there are a lot of great candidates out here in our community And I look forward to whatever the future of Calhoun is under the great leadership that this council has provided. But Mayor, thank you so much for letting me make a statement.
Thank you very much. Councilman Edwards.
Assume we're going to council comments, correct?
Unless you want to make another one.
You retire now?
Not yet. Maybe in 2 more years, but maybe forced to whether I want. But anyway, on the water, wastewater, and engineering report for the month of August, the 2-inch galvanized line replacement project is approximately 90% complete. Lewis Drive, Cindy Lane, Kirk Drive off of Peters Street are near completion. The last scheduled areas are Beamer Circle, Overland Drive, and Emery Lane off of Beamer Road. The nutrient trading monitoring pilot program, year 2, is scheduled to begin August 11th. The wastewater treatment plant motor control center upgrades phase 2. The units are on site and installation is in progress and going well thus far. The South Calhoun bypass utility relocations, the section of water main along Union Grove Road is near completion. Crews are nearing completion on the area at Highway 53 East as well. The remaining areas are US 41 and McDaniel Station Road. The Pisgah drainage area sewer replacement bid opening, was way back January 4th, and that project has been ongoing over the last several weeks and should be finished by the end of this month. There were, if I'm not mistaken, some additional there was additional work added to that project, but anyway, it's going real well. And IPR Southeast is the contractor, and they have, by everything I've heard, done a really good job for us. Our maintenance department has completed painting of the interior of the glass rock water tank at a cost of approximately $50,000. The low bid from outside painters for that was $284,000. Water and sewer projects in development. Airport sanitary sewer relocation involves relocating approximately 4,500 feet of sewer main to accommodate the airport expansion. State Route 156 water main relocation is part of the GDOT railroad bridge replacement at where 156 runs into 411 out in Ranger. Plans have been submitted to the Department of Transportation. North Wall Street and Redbud Road intersection improvements, another GDOT venture. They asked for and were given an estimate to relocate any utilities in conflict with the proposed project there. And Highway 41 South at Lynn Creek is another GDOT widening project, and those plans have also been submitted to the Department of Transportation. Projects in engineering, conceptual design. On the sewer side, Blackwood Creek trunk sewer, Yarborough Street replacement sewer, and Louise Avenue, Cherry Street, and Florence Avenue sewer replacement. And on the water side, Bellwood Road water transmission main, Curtis Parkway water main, Reeves Station water main, and a second interconnect with Pickens County. Water treatment, total gallons withdrawn in July was the most thus far this year, 322,919,000 gallons. That's a daily average of 10,416,000. And from the wells, 134,829,305. We had 4.26 inches of rainfall, which is, if I'm not mistaken, the second least so far this year, but we are over double the monthly average that we had for last year, and we right now through the month of July have approximately, well, it's a little more than 8 inches of rain more than we had for the entire year last year. So that's all something we can't control, but it definitely impacts all of us, and it's a good thing, as long as we don't get way yonder too much more, I guess. But we'd like to keep getting about 5 inches a month would be a good thing. So if we can place that order. The wastewater collection report, There were 8 new sanitary sewer services installed, 4 sanitary sewer services repaired, 3 manholes repaired, 2,300 feet of sewer services TV inspected, 312 utility locates completed. There were 2 repairs made to lift stations. There were 3 sewer calls, 2 for service lines, 2 on the customer side. 7,600 feet of sanitary sewer lines cleaned, 82 manholes opened and inspected, and 9,000 feet of rights-of-way mowed. On the water distribution side, there are 287 total work orders completed. These included 20 water connections installed, 39 water service leaks repaired, 33 water main leaks repaired, 36 calls to investigate reported leaks, 9 meter shutoff valves changed, 10 water services changed to new main line, 120 meters repaired, changed out, pulled, and or new meters installed. 2 repairs of fire hydrants, 6 water services changed from old water main to new, 9 calls to check water pressure at the meter, 6 calls to flush water lines, 3 repairs of roads or driveways or yards of individuals affected by work done on water projects of one sort or another. 547 utility locates responded to, 57 utility locates called in for work orders, 3 emergency utility locates called in for repair, 149 other miscellaneous calls responded to, and on July 10th, we began installing 2-inch black poly pipe along Line Street to replace the old 2-inch sand cast and galvanized lines from College Street to Pisgah Way. Police Department for July anticipated fines were $70,175. Fines collected from previous cases, $38,699. There were 589 cases made. These included 76 state warrants, 1 search warrant, 91 speeding violations, 4 DUIs, 9 juvenile complaints, and 400 assorted others, most of which involved vehicle problems of one sort and another, improper tags or no tag or no proper improper license, no proof of insurance, those type of things. Provided 23 medical assists, issued 466 warnings, worked 56 highway accidents, 28 private property accidents. There were 15 injuries involved in those accidents, but no fatalities, thank goodness. Provided 70 escorts. There were a total of 1,539 incident reports, 297 alarms, and patrolled a total of 60,430 miles of city streets. The monthly court numbers, there were 412 cases from the police department. Anticipated fines, as mentioned before, $70,175. 63 cases were dropped. There were 314 cases actually went to court. $32,400 in court case fees. 202 bond forfeitures, and total $15,505. 19 probation cases, and they involved payments totaling $10,179. There were 10 revocations of probation, 132 bench warrants issued, 63 SSI warrants, 29 FTAs, transported 8 prisoners, had 78 cases rescheduled, and served 20 subpoenas. The fire department, on the suppression division, there were 177 total reported calls for service. These included 4 fire incidents with estimated fire damage of $17,000, 1 overpressure rupture, explosion, or overheating involving no fire, 107 emergency medical services rescues provided, 12 hazardous condition incidents. Again, these don't involve any fire, but leaks, spills, electrical hazard, and other hazardous conditions without injuries. 2 service calls, 34 good intent calls, 13 false alarms or false calls, and all completed all routine vehicle and station maintenance. The training division completed, there were 365 total man hours of training during the month, And the training included training topics were firefighter survival, pump operations, extrication training, and there were no classes held the week of the 4th of July. The fire inspections, public safety, education, and code enforcement division, there were 95 total reported activities or inspections. These included 36 annual inspections, 2 new business inspections, 26 requested inspections, 13 follow-up or re-inspections, 3 plan reviews, and 15 consultations. Additional activities for these guys included Lieutenant Duvall attending the city safety meeting and site inspections, and conducted a fire extinguisher class for Calhoun healthcare employees. The building inspectors report there were 3 new residential permits issued with a total estimated value of $240,000, 2 residential remodels totaling about $60,000. There were 2 new commercial permits issued, estimated value $105,000, and 2 commercial remodels or additions totaling approximately $90,000. 1 commercial plumbing permit, 3 commercial HVAC, and there were 3 sign permits issued as well. And I think that is my report, sir.
And thank you for that detailed report.
Thank you, sir. Everything
Thank you.
I ever wanted to know and more.
Councilman Barton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the electric department, construction continues at the Calhoun High School new STEM and COLA buildings. Also, construction continues at the Holiday Inn Express and the new Aspen Dental building. Pole replacement continues at Newtown Road. 8 new electrical services were connected. The city of Calhoun's electrical load for July is projected to be 42 million kilowatt hours. This is about the same as it was last year, but about 2 million more than last month. Actual numbers will be released later this week. On the 21st of August, the solar eclipse is expected to affect the solar units, but not our electric reliability. The North American Electric Reliability Corporation, or NERC, and the Energy Information Administration reported that the electric grid is prepared for the eclipse. I know it's kind of something you have to think about, but it's interesting. According to NASA, the first time since 1918 that a total eclipse has traversed the whole country from coast to coast. In totality, it will affect 17 utility scale and hundreds of smaller solar electric generators, with the loss of this 4 gigawatt of generation capacity. Calhoun's experiencing partial solar eclipses about 98% begin around 1 p.m. and maximum eclipse is at 2:34. Heard this on the radio too, but eye damage can result from the viewing of the eclipse without proper eye protection. See the NASA Eclipse website for viewing safety tips. I heard on the radio, Amazon's frantically pulling gear that's not really safe for people to use that people have been putting on their device. So it is a true safety issue. Under telecommunications, we added 2 new internet connections, added a 50 megabit of internet to the existing customer service. The new access system replacement project is 66% complete. We opened 23 and closed 21 work orders. Under GIS, the Geographic Information Systems, we updated the GIS users' desktops to the new ArcMap version, updated the city's zoning map, inter-system updates to the meter data for water maps, updated fiber maps, fire department pre-plan fire for buildings, also updated physical addressing, building, and billing information, updated the city and the GIS websites as well. Under the DDA director attended the business engagement community meeting, a young professionals meeting, a Chamber of Commerce booster breakfast, and DDA workshop. The HPC held their regular scheduled meeting. There were 3 COA approvals. We also, the DDA, created a website for the community and tourists to enjoy. The website is downtowncalhounga.com. With the conjunction of the United Way and the Young Leaders Society, Wall Street Grill, we are hosting a Food Trucks and Friends this Friday on the 18th from 5:30 to 8 o'clock at the depot parking lot here. There will be 5 food trucks, beer and wine, and live music featuring Ben Honeycutt. The event is free for the community. However, you will need to bring cash or cards to get your food and drinks. The farmers market is currently being held every Monday from 10 to 2 and Thursdays from 2 to 7. This will go on through the 28th of September, and the market has been successful, and the DDA hopes to continue this partnership with the local farmers next year. Safety report for the month of July. The safety committee met on the 6th of July, and the topic for safety was using prescriptions and over-the-counter drugs. Maybe they talked to Jimmy before they did their speech. A safety inspection was completed on the July 11th and at the Electric and Telecommunications Department. We had 1 vehicle accident and 3 workers' comps. For a little bit more detailed report, you can get it online or at City Hall. And that concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman Palazzolo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the month of July, the Streets Department completed 34 shop work orders and 29 street department work orders. They installed 14 new street signs. They did replace a large section of sidewalk on Park Avenue, so we appreciate that very much. The cemetery department, they performed routine maintenance on both cemeteries. They supervised the opening and closing of 9 grave sites and sold 10 new grave spaces. The parks department has been busy picking up litter, hauling garbage to the dump, maintaining the records room, as well as mowing and weed eating downtown areas. They also maintain designated buildings downtown, and they trim bushes on North Wall Street, and we appreciate that just to keep our citizens safe. As far as our animal control, they had a total of 36 dogs that were housed for the month and 27 cats, and they ended up with 0 cats and 10 dogs at the shelter. No animals were euthanized, and that's a big shout out to Clyde and Dustin, I believe, works with him, as well as all of the volunteers that we have throughout the city that help us maintain the animals and get them adopted. Our recycling center stayed busy. They collected in revenue over $5,620. They collected 25 tons of cardboard and over 1,000 pounds of plastics, and as well as 600 pounds of cans, aluminum cans. Our recreation department, we just got to see the Barracudas, as you know, they placed first in Tifton in July. Our 9 and 10 All-Star baseball team participated in the GRPA state tournament in Savannah, and they finished 7th. Our adventure camp took place in July, and they had 26 participants. Of course, tennis has been extremely busy. They've had women's tennis, men's tennis, mixed tennis, winners club took place, and they've had community education tennis camps that had 50 participants. They also had pickleball on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and I think we've discussed that before, right? And it says 1 court, so we have 1 court for pickleball, is that right? Okay, cool, awesome. Football and soccer, they had their registration began for football, youth football on July 10th, and as well as cheerleading, and July 17th, the registration for soccer began. The GRPA State 7-8 baseball coaches pitch actually happened here at our rec facility. They had a total of 365 visitors, economic impact of $25,000, and that was July 11th through the 14th. So that is wonderful for our community. And of course, they just had, you know, all kinds of playground events and things held in the meeting room. Our library currently has 11,000 card holders. They had 143 new users for the month of July. What was really exciting is they also had a summer reading program. They had 400 participants, and it's kind of neat because the small children read over 2,000 picture books. Adult readers read 226,000 pages, and our teen readers, which as some of you know, I teach teenagers, so anytime that I hear that they're reading, I get excited. They read over 32,000 pages for the summer. So thank you to the library for providing that for us. And Mr. Mayor, that is my report.
Thank you very much. That was a very good one. Councilman Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Calhoun offers a revolving loan program for business development in and around the city limits of Calhoun. Local job creation has been established at 692 jobs since this program was first established. Anybody who's wanting to start a business, retail, industrial, manufacturing, entrepreneurial, you're eligible to borrow $15,000 per every job created or every job retained. It's at 2% interest with a 50% match from another source required. Information can be obtained at City Hall to get that application. We currently have $970,000 that are eligible to be loaned, and we desperately need to loan that before September. In September, those monies will go back to the Department of Community Affairs if we have not been able to loan those out. So a lot of businesses downtown have been able to maximize their efficiencies through that. If you know anyone who qualifies, please send them to City Hall. Paul, if you'd put that up, please. This is the map of unemployment for the month of June 2017. If you remember, last month we finally broke into the top status of the state with a blue color. We were at 4.9%. For June, our numbers fell back to 5.2% unemployment. I'm assuming, and this may be an incorrect assumption because we haven't met on this data yet, but the closing of Kmart and retail sales, they probably went ahead and decreased their workforce to a degree, getting ready for that closure. Jeff, do you know any other industry closures that have impacted from your vantage point? So obviously those are not good things. We would love there to be a decrease in that number, but that is one of the lowest we've been probably in the last 10 to 12 years. We actually saw double-digit unemployment 2007, 8, 9, 10. So it's encouraging. Right now we're at the 5.2. The regional rate for the 15 counties is 5%. The state rate is 4.8%. The average wage rate in Gordon County with its manufacturing base is $38,100. So that puts us in the top 5 in the region, particularly in manufacturing non-metro communities. The Regional Commission, just like the City of Calhoun, has been meeting all of this summer, talking about the comp plan, comprehensive planning. What are we going to do in the next 20 years? We actually did this 10 years ago, so that means we're halfway through. At halfway through, you take stock in what you thought was going to happen 10 years ago, see where you're at, and make adjustments. Larry Vickery is heading that up for the City of Calhoun. If anybody wants any specific data, just call Larry at City Hall. I believe he said today there will be a meeting, Paul, am I not correct, this Friday, where we'll have stakeholders in the meeting, both from department heads and the community, to talk about what we anticipated 10 years ago, where we are now. One big thing we noticed was that 68% of the stakeholders 10 years ago no longer live in Calhoun and Gordon County. So that's going to go to the regional comp plan. I serve on the executive board. We've been meeting for these 15 counties, trying to determine this summer what the biggest issues are for this region. We've got our work plan almost ready to roll out to the public. Number one priority is going to be finding diversity in manufacturing, find a few different eggs to go in our manufacturing baskets. We're extremely grateful for the flooring industry. We're extremely grateful for the revitalization of the housing boom and the building industry. But most of the communities in that 15 county area are wanting to get some different players at the table, so that when we go to a recession like we just went through, we don't face a continual downward slide. So that's going to be a number one priority. Number two priority probably goes to the 60+% that stakeholders that are not here, probably goes to the issue we're going to be facing here by the end of the year in this city council. We're going to be losing 83% of our managers. That is not unusual for a baby boomer community. And Calhoun, just like these other communities up here, have people who have found this to be a great place to work, live, and play. But you're getting close to the time where you are going to get out of the workforce, going to get out of elected office, and are going to find other things to do. So as we do that, the Northwest Georgia Regional Commission wants to concentrate on the loss of wisdom from the baby boomers and how to reach out to the millennial generation. Three of our members was at the MEAG conference in July to hear about Vogel 3 and 4 and the issues that are hanging out there. one of the things one of the speakers spoke about was the geopolitics of our nation. We are the only nation on planet Earth that has a generation larger than the baby boomers. Do you realize that? Europe doesn't, Asia doesn't, Russia doesn't, Africa doesn't. So America, when we bring the millennial generation on, we're going to have a group of consumers that outgrow the baby boomers. And last week, America became the #1 natural gas exporter in the world. Now, this same guy, and Jimmy, I think you were there when he spoke, 2 or 3 years ago, made the observation that America would be leading the world in energy exports. I think most of us laughed 2 or 3 years ago that that was even possible. This last month, we passed that. So probably these predictions are true. What does that mean for Calhoun and Gordon County? We saw a whole crop of great young people standing up here tonight that are going to step up and take some of these jobs and make some leadership roles. So Calhoun and Gordon County, just like Northwest Georgia Regional Commission, is positioned in a great place to go forward, and I find optimism with that. Calhoun Airport, we've got 2 projects going on there. One is a $5 million expansion of the commercial hangar base. Those hangars will be for jet aircraft. All of this commission, I believe, was at Leading Edge. That's the consultants we use to work with the federal government. And I think we all saw a display of what this airport's going to do with a $5 million build out for commercial jet traffic. You say, well, why would we need that? Each jet that is positioned here in Calhoun of the size that we're looking at generates anywhere from $136,000 to $163,000 ad valorem tax annually just to house the jet. That's not talking fuel, and that's not talking industry or business. And I know we were told and shown examples of regional transportation like a FedEx or a UPS, something that works in regional carriers. The one person who expressed an interest and offered to sign to bed 2 jets here in Calhoun does that service where he uses this region to move supplies and materials around the state. That's $5 million. That was put together with a bonding application of the Airport Industrial Board made up of volunteer citizens, Calhoun and Gordon County combined. $250,000 granted by the city, $250,000 granted by the county to be reimbursed when those federal funds come in to start the engineering study. So hopefully you'll be looking at the engineering study completed at the end of the year and hopefully some type of expansion and construction next year. Final project is a $10 million taxiway. That'll give Calhoun's Tom B. David aircraft the ability to land and take off twice the amount of aircraft it currently does. That will be 100% of the federal dollars advocated to the state of Georgia for airports. It's coming to Calhoun, Georgia because Calhoun, Georgia is the 7th largest airport in the state of Georgia. Charles, I believe you mentioned that was spoke at the Rotary Club not long ago. Guys, that's an anomaly right there because you've got Peachtree, DeKalb, Fulton, McCullough. You got some great airports. And here's Tom B. David, number 7. So some great things are happening here in Northwest Georgia, particularly. And look at that map, folks. If you took a dart and wanted to throw a dart to a bullseye, where would it land? Calhoun, Georgia. We could not be more centrally located with, like Al said, water, sewer, Matt, electricity, Jackie, young people that are learning to read and carry on these jobs. Calhoun is in a perfect place to be positioned for the future. Mr. Mayor, that concludes my comments.
Thank you very much for that report. This time we'll have the public hearings. The public will have the opportunity to make pro and con comments with a 10-minute maximum time limit for each side of the matter, and with each person speaking having filed a financial disclosure statement 5 days prior to the hearing if required, and with each person giving their name and address. This time I would ask if any council members had need of a financial disclosure statement.
No,
First item is a building setback variance request of 15 feet. This is to reduce the minimum distance from 30 feet to 15 feet. This is at location GC 56-229. It is on Irwin Street and South Wall Street. The request is by Lidl U.S. Operations, LLC, and the Zoning Advisory Board met on this on August the 10th. At this time, I'll open the public hearing and ask if all the legal notices have been placed and given.
Yes, sir, they have.
Thank you. At this time, I'll ask for a report from the Zoning Advisory Board.
Mr. Mayor, as you said, the board did meet last week, and it was 3, 4, and 1 against. And the reason for the against, I was concerned about, one, making sure that the surrounding neighbors would be considered when the plans were finalized. I also wanted to look at a previous variance that we denied on Irwin Street, but after Paul sent it to me and I looked over it, even though I thought it was a similar variance request, it was not, and I was also concerned about the future expansion of Irwin Street.
All right, thank you. This time we'll ask for comments, and we'll begin with the applicant or their representative.
Mayor and Council, on behalf of Lidl U.S. Operations LLC, we would submit a request for this variance to be tabled. After due discussion with one of the adjoining landowners and several council members, we felt it was in the best interest to have this tabled for 2 weeks so that we could speak with the adjoining landowner and also to allow the council to settle some issues regarding Irwin Street and possible future expansion. So we make that formal request that the matter be tabled until August the 28th.
So moved. That's what I was going to suggest anyway.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Let the record reflect that the lawyer actually shortened the proceedings. Thank you for considering.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, make it part of the record. So we will close the public hearing. There is no old business and under new business. We have the first reading of an annexation and zoning request. This request is for R1B. It is for 0.17 acres. This is located at 108 Yarborough Street. Zoning Advisory Board meeting is scheduled for September the 7th. Public hearing on the 11th. Next item is the first reading of an annexation and zoning request. This request is for of R1. It is for 0.83 acres. It is located at 113 Peters Street. Zoning Advisory Board on September the 7th. Public hearing on September the 11th. We also have the zoning annexation and zoning request of R1. It is for 1.04 acres, and this is located at 117 Peters Street. Zoning Advisory Board is scheduled for September the 7th. Public hearing September the 11th. Also have the first reading of a request for a zoning change. This change would be from industrial G to R2. It is for 1.95 acres. This is located at 203 Edmond Street. On this, Zoning Advisory Board is scheduled for September the 7th. Public hearing on September the 11th. Also have the first reading of a variance request to reduce the minimum building square footage by 500 feet. This request is to reduce it from 800 square feet to 300 square feet. This is for 203 Edmond Street. Once again, the Zoning Advisory Board is scheduled for September the 7th and public hearing on September the 11th. Also have the first reading of a rear setback variance. This request is up for 10 feet. It is to reduce the minimum distance from 20 feet to 10 feet for a location of 127 Oakhurst Terrace. Zoning Advisory Board on September the 7th. Public hearing September the 11th. Also have a request by the Calhoun Recreation Commission to reappoint Mr. Todd Halbert. Mr. Todd Halbert's term expired on June the 30th, and the appointment would be for another 6-year term beginning July 1 of 17, ending June 30 of 2022. And with that, do I have a motion to reappoint Mr. Halbert?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Thanks,
I
Todd.
always take a minute just to say thank you to people that are willing to give their time and efforts. It is one area that I think really, through our volunteers, makes our community what it is today, and we appreciate everybody who's willing to serve. With that, the Downtown Development Authority is requesting permission to close Park Avenue from Harlan Street to Hicks Street and Court Street from Wall Street to King Street. This would be for Harvest Fest 2017. It is a typical area that's normally closed, and the time would be from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And the event would be held on Saturday, October the 28th, and as always, it would be subject to DOT approval. So with that, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve NDG-DOT's approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Also, we have a request from the Calhoun Recreation Department. This request would be to buy some windscreens for the tennis center and security cameras for the recreation center, pool and shop area, and selected places around the recreation department. With that, the low bid for the windscreens is $8,782.20. The security cameras would be between $2,000 and $2,500. And the request is to approve the low bid, as well as to allow the funds to be taken from the hotel motel fund.
Here, let me ask a question or two. Kim, how many cameras would you be proposing? Do you think that's enough? I noticed that I saw some damage over on the new park the other day. It's pretty cost efficient to put in more. If okay. Mr. Mayor, I'll make the motion to do this with that funding stream.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I might mention we have $83,000 in the hotel motel recreation fund, and while we're talking about it, we have $125,000 in the DDA hotel motel fund, and $92,000 in the there's two City of Calhoun accounts that are one of them is restricted and the other is used for needs that we come up with, like the lighted at 312. So,
Are you suggesting more cameras?
we've got the money to buy more.
Okay,
cameras.
I was just checking.
Kim, I believe we were able to use that also on the pool, the hotel motel tax with the pool deck and resurfacing the pool. So it has been used to very beneficially to our community. Also, we have the opportunity to approve an intergovernmental agreement. This is a joint agreement with the City of Calhoun and Gordon County for the use of the training facility, and they've been using this in the past. This agreement is to be put in place, and it will, with some guidelines on there, as well as hopefully help the county with their ISO rating. So if anybody has any questions of Mr. Nesbitt or Eddie.
Anything you want to add to that, or talk about how well it's helped not just us, but the county, the training center?
It will benefit them as well, and it's very similar to what we did by utilizing dollars before we got ours. As the mayor said, it'll help them on their ISO rating, Mr. Bean
the status of that burn center? I know we've used it a good bit. Is there a life to that project? And
It varies. It just depends on how much you burn, and if you don't do it properly, it reduces the lifespan. But we may have to replace some panels in 5 or 6 years. But as far as the overall structure, it should stay several years down the road. And it just depends on how you. If you overuse it or misuse it,
Sure.
it'll degrade quicker.
well, we've been at it a while. Are you and your officers pleased with it?
Yes, and matter of fact, Clayton County is coming Thursday to look at our facilities and try to copy it.
How many years have we had that now? I can't remember exactly. 4?
Yeah, going on 4 years. It's been well used,
Right.
it's mostly just throughout that, and then, that patrol SWAT team uses it on a regular basis as far as the bell tower. House County brings their recruit class up here to use it, so they see some difference, it's utilized by,
And you've had the opportunity to show other people and students in the community too, I believe, right?
well, but it will benefit, the agreement should benefit both sides.
Good.
And with that, the agreement is not to exceed 24 months, and with that, do I have a
Motion
motion?
to approve.
Motion second, discussion. All those in favor? All
Aye.
those opposed? Calhoun Police Department is requesting to purchase a 2015 Dodge Journey from the Calhoun Auto Outlet. This would be utilized by a detective. The purchase price is $14,500, and it is to be paid with confiscated assets.
So move.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Also, we have an opportunity to approve a renewal agreement with Probation Services. This would be between the Judge of Municipal Court and the City of Calhoun and Supervision Services. The term of the agreement is for 5 years unless otherwise terminated in accordance with contract provisions. We have some new statutory requirements that were put out by the state to have to be met by January the 1st, and this incorporates, I think, all of the concerns with the state. Mr. Gavinian, is that anything?
It's technically a 1-year contract, 4 years of automatic renewal
Yeah.
pursuant to statute. But it specifically, the SSI approached us to make sure that we can get a new contract and we're already on top of it. So I asked for Mayor and Council to approve.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions of Mr. Gavinian?
No, but Eddie, I mean, that's been a good transition since we've moved to them.
It's worked well.
That's what I thought. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Have a first reading of a beer pouring license. This is for World of Wings to be located at 171 West Belmont Drive in Suite 7. The proposed store manager will be made prior to the public hearing, which is scheduled on September the 11th. Also, we have an opportunity and a recommendation by the Calhoun Utility Water and Wastewater Director, Mr. Crawford, to award a change order number 3 for the MCC replacement project. The change order is in the amount of $79,600 will be paid for out of SPLOST funds. Mr. Worley?
Yes, sir. This would be expanding our current scope of work with the contractor that's on site currently at the sewer plant. This was Rehab Construction Company Incorporated. We've done quality work to this point. We've completed phase 1 of the motor control placements. Currently in phase 2, this is basically just adding a little bit more into phase 2 to coincide with some additional improvements that we're going to do in one of the buildings there. We're going to be replacing some pumps, and Deputy Board is going to be helping out with some electrical work, and we would like to, just from a logistics standpoint, add this electrical work in to this phase 2 of this project.
Anybody have any questions of Mr. Worley? If not, do I have a motion to approve the change order of $79,600? Have a motion?
Second.
Also, there's another recommendation by Calhoun Utility Water and Wastewater Department. It is for the award of a change order number 2 for the Pisgah area sewer line replacement project. The change order is in the amount of $403,000, and it's we've got a GFA loan that's in place that already paid the closing costs on, and we have $403,000 remaining on the loan. And since the contractor's already in the area, we have a opportunity to do some more work that will have to be done at a future date, and we can do it now to upgrade that project a little bit. Mr. Worley, any?
That's correct. Been very pleased with the contractor that was here, Crawford. We've had several discussions, and as we've gone through this project, they've run into a lot of complications with the age of the infrastructure we're dealing with, but we've been able to overcome those. Very pleased with the work we've done at this point. And you can see the map up on the screen. We're going to be able to add about 2,500 feet of very old, aging infrastructure, sewer lines. That's going to include Thames Street, Woodlawn Avenue, section of College Street, and Chandler Street. And I think this would be a good addition in using those funds to continue our progress of rehabbing the sewer in this area.
Thank you for that. Anybody have any questions of Mr. Worley?
I'll make one comment, Mr. Mayor. I made it at lunch work session. Had minimal amount of calls from the residents in the community with disruption or frustration. That's got to speak very highly of the contractor, Jerry, I would think.
Well, I think one of the keys is the pipe bursting process.
Yeah.
I've seen some old pictures where, you know, the road has been destroyed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is the way to go.
Talk a little bit about that technology, Eddie.
Well, Jerry knows it better than
Talk a little bit about that technology for YouTube and others that would like to know what we're doing.
Well, essentially, what makes it differ from, you know, the common method where you just go in there with a piece of equipment and dig a hole, they actually thread a piece of equipment through the existing sewer, pull another piece of equipment through there which expands it, then they pull a new pipe inside that. Then the only excavation is going in and tying those individual services, which is a much smaller excavation than
Right.
the entire length.
Well, that's a major piece of historical downtown, and there wasn't a lot of disruption. It's got to be one of our oldest systems, I would think.
And of course, we try to do as much of this stuff at night as we can, unless you're in the residential.
Sure.
area. We'll do that in the off-peak hours during the day. It actually goes rather quickly. Once they get set up, it only takes 20, 30 minutes in a 300-foot section to get through there, and then 20, 30 minutes to get the new pipe in, and then the rest of the time is spent connecting the services back up.
And I believe you said at one time this is certainly new technology, but it's proven technology. A lot of people have used it.
Yeah, we've actually used this technology when we did downtown, when we had the first streetscape.
Right.
We did that at night and utilized the pipe bursting technology. It's better than any of the other options out there.
Very good.
It costs a little more, but it is, you've got a sewer that will last many, many, many years.
Very good.
And a shout out too, like you said, at nighttime. I mean, I know I talked to Paul and he's told me about, he named some individuals, and they've adjusted their schedule. I mean, the contractors are the ones doing the work at nighttime, but we still have our guys overlooking them, and so shout out to our guys readjusting their schedules just to make sure they are doing what they're supposed to be doing.
If you live here tonight, avoid Line Street.
Okay.
One more guys will be there.
Very good.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Also with that, we need a motion to approve a revised completion date of May 2018 for a GFA loan DWSRF 13-003 for water projects, and approval of a revised completion date of March 18 for a GFA loan CWSRF 13-001 for sewer projects. The completion date extension is needed to complete all planned projects due to unexpected delays. So with that, if there are no questions, do I have a motion to? So moved. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Also in your packet, you've got a resolution for the City of Calhoun pursuant to the Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000 authorizing adoption of the Gordon County Hazard Mitigation Plan. And Lenny, I think you've been involved in that. Any? Okay. Saw Courtney earlier, so.
We've discussed it, and I've got the 155-page documents, so we can read tonight if y'all need to.
Right after executive session.
I've got to answer questions as well. This
Yeah.
is a plan that, a series of meetings that we did, and it was countywide, other municipalities, and then people involved in the schools, control, sheriff department, our management, site, and all that. And it's planning on potential hazards that could occur, to, storms, to that, to the dams bursting and waterways and all that. I think the county hasn't signed the document. It's good if we would sign it, and it allows for us to be able to recoup mitigation funds or funds to prevent things from occurring if those funds become
Courtney, I'm sorry I didn't look up to call on you, but do you have anything to add to that? You or Gary, either one?
Yeah, pretty good.
No.
And the main thing is, it doesn't lock us in, that any of the projects identified in there, we're not locked into those, but it does potentially open us up for some grant funding.
Correct. Correct. Anybody have any questions for?
Yeah, let me ask Gary or Lenny or Courtney, either one. Guys, do we have any community planning going on? You remember, Gary, when we did the thing at Trinity Church, what was that, 8 years ago? Or do we have anything like that on the calendar in the future where you use joint services in a planning scenario? Anybody know?
I remember it, but I don't know. We've got a couple of joint exercises coming up. And there was a joint exercise Sunday at the Outlet Mall. Actually, I read certain things.
Okay.
And one this past Sunday morning.
Okay. Was that real or planned, Gary?
It was planned.
Okay, all right.
Another one that'll bring us all together in October.
Okay, very good.
Both law enforcement, both fire, EMS, CMA, 911, everybody.
Those are very informative to view if you've never seen one. Anybody who has an interest. We got a great group of people in other departments working together, I think.
Just to further answer your question, it's gotten to the point where we really don't have to plan them as much. Because other entities like the hospital require one, school systems require them.
Right.
EMA has to do one or two to do things, so we just participate.
I got you. Very good.
With no other questions, do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Mr. Forrest?
I don't have anything else.
I think we have a reason to go into executive session for two
Yes.
legal matters.
Three very brief legal matters and county litigation.
Okay?
Motion.
With that, do I have a motion?
Motion to move to executive session.
Second.